There we go. I think I'm on. Oh, no, I've just been talking for 10 minutes without audio on. Oh, so sorry, guys. We're back on anyway. It was silent. I wonder why that never switched. That's interesting. I had to turn it on over here, which is interesting. Oh, well, it's working now. I have to just keep checking that that stays on. Oh, sorry, guys. I was just talking about a couple of new systems that I'm using. I'm going to have to... hopefully I can edit that out at the beginning. Either that or people are just going to be going, what's going on? I might just put a thing down the bottom to say what time the audio actually came back on. What I was saying was that I'm trialling a new software that I can't talk about, really. I mean, I can say what I'm doing, but I just can't say what it is. That enables me to bring in chat and all of these little things like I'm flying out at the top for saying pre-show and things like that. You can do that through Ecamm, but this is a completely different live sort of solution, so I'm trying that. And I've got two iPads running here today, and I'm going to be running one that's going to be showing you the news and discussing that, and then I'm going to be using this one that I've got on my right-hand side to control things like comments and questions and things like that. So let me just see who's here anyway, because a lot of it probably going to be saying, oh, let me put this full screen so I can see what's going on. We go here. There we go. Screen. Oh, then I can read the comments. Oh, yeah. Well, look at those. I was saying about my skin. I've had some cream put on. I know a lot of you that follow me knew that I had a cancer cut out and everything's fine. It was all clear. But they asked me to put some cream on, which is called Effidux, and that's why I look like I'm sunburned at the moment. I had that on for a week, and I'll show you later if I get the time. I'll show you how bad I looked a few days ago. I looked like a monster. So I'll show you that as well. So I am going to look like this for a few days, but it's getting better and better at just that it peels. But it gets rid of all of the sun-damaged skin. It's amazing stuff. So let's see who's here anyway. Joseph's saying the audio is not working. Yeah, everyone's just sort of going on there saying, am I the only one that can't hear? No audio. What else have we got? No audio. Did you hear me? Was there audio with the sound, with the music at the beginning? I hope so. Too loud. I think that was the music. Everyone's just saying no audio. Let me keep going down here until we start to go. Axman says he's a photographer, not a sound tech. No audio, no audio. Everyone's screaming at me. David, we can't read your lips. Is that all coming through? Yep. Good night, David. No audio, Colin said. Oh, sorry, guys. I know it's a pain in the backside, isn't it? Now, where does it come up? Ah, there it is. So now we're up to where everyone is. So Axman's saying, here it is. Josephina is also saying hi, David. VJ is saying hi, David. We will start the show. We're just in pre-show at the moment. I'm waiting on a few people to pop in. David isn't mute. Matt's also here. Heath is just saying thank you to something. Hero said that was hilarious. I know. I'm honestly, I really... The funny thing is, and this is why I thought, oh, look, I'll keep my headphones in and then I won't make any of those mistakes. But the sound was coming through to me. It's just I had to switch it on the ATM software, which is the streaming software. I'm an idiot. Brett said, David, how are you, mate? Really good, Brett. Looking much better than the other day, that's for sure. Like I said, I'll see if I can show you that picture later on. You'll get a laugh out of it. Well, you might think, oh, my God, poor David. Yeah, looking much better. I know, heaps better, Brett. Like it's really looking terrific now. It's just still a little bit red on the sides. But this will just come off in a few days. Music was good. Yes, the intro, we can hear the audio. Okay, well, that's fine. Nivex said, yes, the audio to the intro, no audio when you came on. Yep. Colin said, good audio. Raymond said, hiya, baby smooth Dave. I know, look, a couple of weeks, this is going to be baby smooth skin. Oh. Hello, David. Glad your head is shining. It certainly is. Oh, boy. It's nice and cold this morning. We're actually 3 degrees Celsius. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but it's cold for us down here. Freezing. Coffee. I came on half an hour early today because I'm going to actually buy a new keyboard for the iPad I've just bought, because I've just got a new iPad. I've got two now. I've got an iPad Pro, and then this is the iPad Air 4. And I want to go and get the new Magic Keyboard for it. So I'll go and get that today at High Point, the Apple store there. So that's why I came in half an hour early. So let's get stuck into some news. Let me just clear this, because I'll just see how we do this. Like I said, I'm going to be learning this as we go along. Let me just take that off and then come back to the social, just so I can see what's going on through there. Now, let me see if I can switch over to here, multi, and we need super source. And then if I go auto, it should come up. And let me just see if I can quit the comments. Oh, why isn't that clear? That's one bug I've noticed. Because it doesn't seem to clear them. Well, it doesn't matter. I'll keep going if it doesn't clear. Yeah, it's just replacing it. Let me go full screen. Just see what it does. Yeah, I don't know why it's... the comments should disappear when I click back on them, but they're not. I'll have to talk to the guy that's got that. Doesn't matter. I'll just leave it. All right, so let's look at the first story, because I wanted to talk about this. The announcement of the ZV-E10. Now, it's basically saying that it was meant to come out on July the 7th. And apparently, though, there was an issue with it being a Chinese holiday or anniversary or something. And that's what this story is coming out here. It says, in case you missed it, no ZV-E10 announcement today. Sony sends an official apology to China. And that's what happened. So it was something to do with China. What's it saying here? It was the 84th anniversary of Japan's invasion of China that sparked a war that actually went over there. So they sent an apology. Anyway, so they're basically saying that they shouldn't have released it on that day. So they haven't said when they're going to release that now. They've just sort of given an apology that they were going to do it on that day, and so now it's not going to happen. But we have got a couple of different things now that we can look at. That there's some specs that you can see here. And I'll take you through them, and then I'll show you some images of what the ZV-E10 looks like. But basically, they're saying that it's going to be a 24 megapixel APS-C sensor. So it is an APS-C camera, so it's not full frame, so it's APS-C. So it's like your A6000 type series cameras. It's going to have a maximum of 4K 30p. It's got S-Log2, S-Log3, HLG, but no S-Cinetone. So they're not going to be put S-Cinetone on at all. The background defocus product showed... so it's got the background defocus as well, and it's got a mic jack and a headphone jack. No Sony menu system. Sony's new menu system. Well, that's surprising. So they're putting the old menu system on there as well. One card slot, and not using the FZ battery. So it's probably using the same battery what's in the A6000 series cameras as well. Let me just switch and see if I can get rid of that comment. It's definitely a bug. Yeah, because it's not switching off at all now. No, I can't get rid of them. Yeah, it just sort of clips off and then comes back on again. Nope. Oh, well, it's just a bug. Look, this is beta software, so it is going to have issues coming up. Doesn't matter. All right, so if we're looking at it there, so I suppose they probably couldn't fit the bigger Z battery in. Perhaps that's the problem because of the body size that's there. So they may not have been able to fit that in. So, you know, that could be an issue in itself. I mean, look, it's... I suppose if you look at the ZV-1, this is probably not a bad camera release for the money. I mean, I don't think it's going to be very expensive. We haven't been told the price yet, but I would think it's probably, you know, going to be under $1,000. It is an interchangeable lens system, so it's sort of similar to what the A6000 series is. So it's sort of a mix between the ZV-1 and also the A6000 series. So let me just show you on here. Let me just show you some leaked images of what this looks like so you can see. And you'll see it's sort of like a mix between the A5000 series, A6000 series, and the ZV-E10. I mean, it looks quite good. So it is an articulating screen that's on this as well. You can see all your ports through here. I mean, it's nice that it's got the headphone and the microphone socket. That's what they're saying it's going to be anyway. So it is sort of, this may be tailored definitely towards vloggers, and I think that's what Sony was saying about this camera, that it was sort of tailored down that way. If we keep looking down, it looks like it's got a more rounded type of grip as compared to my A6-400 that I'm looking at here, that I'm streaming live on. I mean, it's quite nice for what it is. I like the A6-400 series. I use it all the time. Like I said, I use it for this. I love it on the gimbal. And I think it looks quite good. It's going to be interesting to see, like I said, where they price this at. It's got the on-off switch at the top there. It's got a dedicated recording button by the look of it through here as well. I suppose that'll be your shutter button. This would be your recording button. Now, they're not saying whether it has IBIS or anything like that at this stage, so well, surely it has. But they're not mentioning that in the rumours. It's got the same windsock by the look of it that we've got on the ZV-E10, which, like I said again, it's sort of a mix of those cameras all sort of joined together. So, yeah, anyway, I'm curious to know what you guys think. Are you interested in this? Do you think it looks like it will be any good? This is probably your focus button as well that gives you that quick focus perhaps, or it may even be this one, I'm not sure. You can't really see it quite clearly enough. But I don't know. I mean, look, it's not one that I'm going to buy, but it's there, and I suppose if it's there and it meets your needs, well then, you know, jump in and get it. I don't know when it's going to be released now, because they did say the 7th, but they haven't sort of given a new timeline about when it's going to be released. But I don't know. I mean, like I said, fit this up with a couple of those Tamron lenses that I've been reviewing for the A6000 series, and I think it would be a really, really good device. Let me just see what a few of you are saying about this. Let me have a look. Let me scroll down. Looks like a bigger screen, Brett's saying. Yeah, it does seem to look like that, but I wouldn't expect it to be any better by the look of it. I think they're probably going to be using the older screens, Brett. I mean, I don't know. We can't really tell from that what it's going to be like. So it'll be interesting to sort of see, you know, whether it is that new. I was hoping that they would probably put the new screens into everything, but I don't think they're going to in this scenario. So I think they're just going to keep the old screens in. I'm just trying to see if it looks, to me, it looks about the same. Looking at the A6-400 now, it may be that it's probably exactly the same, except for it's an articulating screen, not a fold-up screen. So, you know, that's the thing. I love Heath. He said yawn. Doesn't excite Heath at all. I'm going to start vlogging our cruises and our overlanding ventures, so this will be good for me. Yep, I think it will be a great vlogging camera by the look of it. Like I said, they never mentioned IBIS. It would have, if they're tailoring this as a vlogging camera, it would have to have IBIS in it. I would expect it to be similar to the ZV-E10 and have active stabilization as well. They definitely never mentioned that in those specs, though, did they? Where was it? Just check here. No, they're not saying, but there might be other specs where that's come out previously, so I'm not really sure. But I would expect it to have the similar system to the ZV-E10 and the active stabilization, which I think the active stabilization, to be honest, is the future way that Sony's going to go anyway. So that's that story. Like I said, we haven't got heaps, but we'll keep going. They're the leaked images that we looked at. Let me show you this one. Now, this is interesting because this was shared on Sony Alpha Rumors, and it said this is a new C housing. It's expensive. It's a few $1,000s, I think. I don't know where it said the price, but it was pretty. Oh, yeah, there you go. It's $2,000. Where it's right in front of me. $2,895 is housing, but if you look at the number through here, it's saying it's the A7IV. Ooh, doo, 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 doo. I think It's a mistake. I honestly think it probably was the A7R4 or something. I think they've left a number off or something. I mean, but it was just, I couldn't wait to sort of share this with you because I thought, whoa. The housings come out before the A7IV has even been announced. But I think it's probably just a printing mistake. But it's a beautiful housing, isn't it? Look at that. If you're into swimming underwater or diving, it looks fantastic. And they're saying expected availability 2 to 4 weeks. So it's got to be a printing error. This has to be a printing error. Now, if that's the case, it's pretty bad because it's a $3,000 US product. So I wouldn't be too happy if I was the people that had paid for that to get done, because they're not going to be happy anyway. I don't think it's going to be coming out. I still predict that the Sony A7IV is going to be announced in September. That's still what I'm tipping at this stage, and then probably released late October, November. So it's probably going to be that, and that will be in stores for Christmas. So I think that's why Sony will probably tailor that way. They'll have that release sort of then. But anyway, I thought I'd share that because it's an interesting story. I thought you'd get a laugh out of it. The next thing is Sigma will be releasing a 150 to 600 millimeter. It's an f5 to 6.3 DGDN sports lens. So, I mean, like I said, how blessed are we now in the Sony realm that we've got so many lenses that are coming up? It's terrific. It really is. And again, this looks like it'll be a really nice one. They're sort of saying it's going to be $1,399, and the expected shipping will begin on June the 10th. They're not giving any specs yet. Whether I haven't seen that, how much it weighs, things like that. But it looks like it has all the controls on there for your stabilization and everything else. So it looks good, manual focus, etc. So anyway, I think Sigma make great lenses. So this is a really good one if you on into that sports range. I'd love to try that lens out. And this one, I thought I'd share this before we open up to Q&A. Like I said, it won't be a long show today, but this is quite good because this is going to be showing you the difference of those screens between the Sony A7R4A and the A7III. I think it was those two cameras. The A7R4 and the A7III, I think it was. But you can see here on the left-hand side, through here, you can see the difference between the resolution. Now, it is drastic. You're looking here at a big enlargement. But if you're looking at the screen on the back, you are really going to see a difference in how this looks, particularly if you want to check critical focus. So these screens are much, much better, and it's almost going to make the camera like a different camera using this. You can see here again, looking at it, the difference in the pixel sizes between the two of them. And I think this is quite exciting because I've been sort of saying all along how disappointed I've been with the Sony screen. So finally, they're releasing the better screens in their cameras. So the camera itself is exactly the same. It's just that they've added this new screen. And I'd love to have a look at it. I really can't wait to see how they look in real life. It just amazes me that they bring this out and then they didn't put it in the A1, particularly because the amount of money that you're paying for that, and this came out not long after that. It's interesting that they've actually done that. But I just wanted to share that with you because I thought, it might be a bit of interest for you. And that's that. Let me just switch cameras back. And I'll keep it on there. So let's go to Q&A. Let me run down let me go here and open up Q&A. Like I said, I'm just going to check this is all working. So if you have any questions, guys, just fire away. Anything at all. Because I'll answer a few questions. I'll stay for a while. Like I said, it wasn't going to be very long. Oh, thank you so much. Just got a donation. Where's this show up in here? There we go. $5 from Moving Matt. Where are all these super chats? Come on, people. This is the hardest working Australian since Hugh Jackman. Oh, let me show you. I'm going to show you. Let me show you the picture of me. I'll have to log into Facebook. You're going to die when you see this. Let me come up here. Wait till you see my face with the with how I looked the other day. I look like an alien. Where is is it? Okay, you ready for this? I think I deserve a super chat for this when you see these. All right, hang on. Here we go. Look, let me switch over. I'm going to go. You ready? You ready for this? Look at that. Oh. The one on the left was last Saturday. That's why I never did a show last Saturday, because I look like an alien. And thanks so much, Matt, for the donation there. But yeah, but look at that. I mean, honestly. Now, the one after is a day after I stopped. So it did improve pretty quickly in how it looked. But honestly, the interesting thing is, and I love to show this because this just shows you how much damage you get on your skin and you don't even really know it's there, because everything there that's red and peeling off and everything is sun-damaged skin. It's like a chemotherapy, this cream that they put on your skin. And I just wanted to show you that because I thought, you know, I look at it and I think it was so hard to go through, though. It was so painful. It was awful. But anyway, that's what I looked like last Saturday, so that's why I never did a live last Saturday. Let me switch back over. No, it's terrible. Now look at me now, much better, heaps better. There's still just a little bit, like I said, on the corners here, but my skin's going to feel like baby skin in a few days. Let me still find out. So fire away. Rejoicing said, I wish it had an EVF. Oh, yeah, well, that is another issue too, isn't it? I mean, it hasn't got an EVF, that camera. I won't buy a camera without an EVF now. I mean, the ZV-1 is, but I use that for a different purpose and I like it for certain things. But I would always want an EVF if I'm going to be shooting film and stuff. The problem is here in Australia, the sun's strong. Like you just saw how I looked a minute ago. And I can't use the back screens. That's the issue, because it's just so bright when I'm doing weddings, because weddings are nearly always in the middle of the day, aren't they? And, you know, and things like that. So I can't use them here in the sunlight. So what I tend to do is, even when I've got the cameras on a gimbal, I'll still use the EVF. That's why I love the A7S3 so much, because the EVF on that camera is so good. The A1 is also an amazing EVF. By the way, there was a new firmware upgrade for the A1 as well. Apparently, it's fixed that sort of stuttering that they had in the vibration, in the image stabilization, and it's also fixed the blackout that was happening for some people with the EVF. So it looks like those little bugs now have been fixed with the A1. And again, you know, it's just going to be an amazing camera. I did get a note from Sony Alpha Pro Support yesterday, because I am in Pro Support. And they're saying that they are going to start sending out gear to Pro Support users. So I've asked if I can get an A1. So hopefully I'll get that and I can give that a test for you with a couple of lenses. I think I asked for the 50mm, what is it, the 1.2, the 200 to 600, and I can't remember the third lens I asked for. Anyway, so hopefully I'll be getting those in the coming days. It just basically depends on how many they've got and the order you get the thing in for them to send it to you. So hopefully I'll get that fairly soon as well. So at least now the firmware has fixed those issues that were around, because the stabilization one in the A1 particularly was pretty bad in some of the shaking that it did. And it's definitely improved that now from what I've seen sort of online. So that's a good thing as well. Ken said, did you see the A7S3 price lowering anytime soon? No, I don't. Oh, do you see? No, I don't, Ken. I think it's probably going to stay up for a while. I still sort of think that I'd be buying, if I was buying any camera at the moment, I would buy another A7S3. Like I said, I can't put that camera down. I just love it so much. I just cannot put it down. I love it for stills. I love it for video. So I think if I was buying another camera right now, I'd buy another A7S3. I could seriously shoot weddings just with A7S3s, no doubt at all, and no problem. The 12 megapixel file size is ample for what I would ever like to do. And I've noticed too with gigapixel that has just been released, as the updates have come out just recently, that they've really upped the speed in those programs. So it used to be that it used to take an awful long time, but they are now working very, very fast. So if I wanted to go over 20 by 30, I could just use something like gigapixel or something like that. But look, to be completely honest with you, most people now aren't buying prints. It's just the way it is. They all want to get digital files. and share their images on Facebook and Instagram and things like that. And I always supply, well, I supply albums with my higher packages, so they get prints with that. And then a 12 megapixel file size for that is ample for the albums that I'm producing. Like I said, you can print up to 20 by 30 in size. So I think the days where you have to have high megapixel cameras are, sort of, I don't know. I mean, let me just show you too this, because I meant to bring this up actually. I think I left it out. Let me just go back to Sony Alpha rumors. Because they were talking about the new A7R4. Where was that? Let me go back to page 1. Let's see if I can find it. Because I'd love to know your opinion about this. Let me go back to here. I'm just trying to see if I can find it. I'll switch over so you can see what I'm doing anyway. I can't remember what page. This also looks interesting too if you have the 12 to 24 millimeter as well. Looks quite interesting as well, because being the bulbous type front covers that you've got on those lenses, you can't put the standard ND filters on. So these type of systems are great if you have that type of lens with that bulbous front lens on there. They're really, really good. So that's a new one from Hader that's been put out as well. And that fits the 12 to 24. So if you did have that, it will fit that lens as well. Let me just keep coming down because I know it was somewhere. Oh, here. Oh, no, that's not it. That's what we were looking at just before. It's talking about the A7R4. Was it here? Let me just check. Where did I see it? You can never find them when you want them. No, it must be further back. Anyway, what it was it actually had that, I think it was 105 megapixel file size. Now, how do you guys feel about that? I mean, look, I think the interesting thing for me is there's two ways of looking at this. If you are into cropping and you like to do the cropping in post, then having a high megapixel camera is certainly advantageous. But if you shoot like I do and you don't crop, I very rarely ever crop. I try not to crop at all because, to be honest, in weddings it's a pain in the backside if you've got to start cropping. It takes a lot of time up when you're dealing with, a couple of thousand images. If you have to start cropping and stuff, it takes a long time. So I like to try and get the image exactly right, as close as possible in the camera. Now, there's advantages to that too, because you get the true depth of field and things like that. So remember, if you crop in, it doesn't really affect the depth. It doesn't affect the depth of field. It's not the same cropping in, say, having a wide-angle lens and cropping into, say, an 85 mil. That's not the same as shooting with an 85 millimeter lens. The depth of field is completely different, and that's something also you've got to understand about how you deal with cropping and stuff like that as well. So this is the reason why I like to keep the cropping in camera and use my feet or use the zoom, whatever I'm going to be doing, rather than, say, crop in post later on, because it does affect the depth of field and what you're looking at that moment. But it does save you sometimes. I mean, like, if you wanted to get a couple of shots from it, it saves you because you can, get two different sort of perspectives from it and things like that. Crop things out if something was wrong. But like I said, I always look at the scene anyway, and I try and not be doing any cropping at all. So for me, 12 megapixels is ample. And the benefit is that you've got such small file sizes, so your storage demands are very, very low. To edit inside of Lightroom or Capture One or whatever else you're going to be using is extremely quick. And that's another benefit of doing this as well. So, there's a lot of benefits there. Like now you're sort of dealing with, they're talking about the A7R4 to be 100 odd megapixels. I mean, yes, look, if you're doing skin retouching and you want to see every single pore in the skin and stuff like that, I can understand that you would need high megapixel cameras like medium format. But the thing you have to consider is that when I had the A7R3, I only used that for certain shots. and there was a reason why I did that, because it just took up too much storage space. I didn't want to shoot a whole wedding with the A7R3, and that was only, 40 megapixel. If you're dealing with 60 and 100 megapixel file sizes, the storage is going to be horrendous. You're also going to need a decent machine to edit those images as well, because the second you take those into Photoshop and start manipulating them, the file size becomes gigantic. I'd just love to know your opinion about that. Are you interested in something, say, getting 100-odd-5 megapixel sensor? Yes, Brett, it did hurt. It was extremely painful, to be honest, when I had that skin stuff done. 10 rounds with Mike Tyson. I love it. I know. How did I look? I looked terrible, didn't I? I ruined Matthew's breakfast. Sorry, Matthew. John said, I wish the A7IV would come out in September. I'm in Rome in October. Yeah, I don't think it will come out in September, but I still think it will be released announced in September. It may be late September. That's what I'm still predicting. Good luck getting Sony loans. Hard enough for us advocates getting gear. Yeah, it came through Sony Pro support though, Brett. So they usually are pretty good. They actually lent me the A9 too. So this isn't Sony. This is just Sony Pro support that's doing this. Rick said hi, Dave, as well. Moving Matt said, David, do you think, I can look up there too. David, do you think the Sony should offer an option to send your camera in and upgrade your screen? I'd love that for my S3, and I'm sure the A1 people would appreciate it as well. Look, I think that would be a fantastic idea. It really would, but I don't think they're going to give you that option. I think you'll have to buy a new camera, unfortunately. It's a pity because I probably would send mine in. If I had the option of sending my A7 III in and get that beautiful new screen, I definitely would do it, or the A9. I'd love to send them in and get the new screen and replaced, and I'm sure a lot of people would pay for it. Yep, so it's a great idea, Matt, but I don't think they'll do it. I share the same feelings about my S3. Before I bought it, I thought I would use it mainly for video, but now I feel the exact opposite. Though my video of fireworks using 51.2 turned out really good. I know, Raymond, it's just like, unless you have one, you just can't explain to people how nice they are to use. The S3, brilliant focus, unbelievable EVF. Great file size. The image quality for the stills is superb. I mean, really superb. I must do a video about it, actually, just talking about this on its own. But it's, like I said, I don't want to put it down. And video-wise, it's, it's just brilliant. It really is. G'day, Ike. How you going? Nice to see you in here. I think metal prints need higher resolution. I'm not sure. I've never done a metal print, but I know I don't really do any metal prints. I usually do canvases or just normal prints. Canvases, even, you need less. So canvases, you can get away. I usually do 300 DPI with prints. You can get away with around about 200 DPI on a canvas. So you can then go even larger if you wanted to go larger. So yeah, canvases aren't an issue at all. Rick said, the megapixel cameras are losing their awness. If the A7 IV comes out with 24 megapixel and pixel shift, I would be the most pleased. Dynamic range is the new thing. Yeah, and I agree. I still think 24 megapixels is that sweet spot, but I think the A7 IV is probably going to be 30 odd. I think it'll probably be about 32 megapixels, something like that. I think they will give it a bump up in resolution, which is okay. I mean, the issue too is, like, if they bring out a 100-odd megapixel A7R4, for God's sake, Sony, give us the option to reduce that resolution down. I mean, that would be crazy if you can't reduce that down with like a small RAW or something like that, like what Canon do. So yeah, I agree. Dynamic range is incredibly important. That's why I love the A7S3 so much, because the dynamic range is so good. The low light shooting is also so good as well. So there's sort of things to think about it. Like I said, if you are if you do crop, you obviously need resolution though, and that's one thing I have to say. If that is the way that you shoot, or you're shooting wildlife and you want to be able to zoom in and crop later on to give you that extra reach, well then obviously having a 100-odd megapixel A7R4 would be amazing. If you're a portrait shooter, like what I do, or say events, stuff like that, no, probably not at all. But it just really depends on what you shoot. If you're doing sports, having that ability to crop in as well would be amazing. It just depends on what you're actually going to be shooting. With moving well, this is probably talking about it. With moving wildlife, especially birds, cropping is helpful as you often rapid fire shooting and hoping to get some shots. Hence the 61. Yep, exactly. If like I said, if you're shooting wildlife, you have to have the megapixels. I completely agree with you there. Nivek said 100 megapixel is nuts, though. I know, it's crazy. It really is. It really is crazy, really. G'day, Dwayne. How you going? Good to see you here. Chris said, hello, David. I made it. Hot day in Los Angeles, and I'm having a Corona. I'm actually having a coffee because it's cool here today for me. It's 7 degrees Celsius. That's probably... Let me check. I'll check for you. What are we? 7 degrees Celsius. Let me have a look. So if I go 7, so 7 degrees Celsius is... Oh, no, I can't do that because it doesn't go the other way. I've got Fahrenheit to Celsius. I thought I had Celsius to... Oh, it doesn't matter. It's probably 30 odd. 30 or 40, I'm not sure. Let me keep going down. Brett said, I only use high resolution for products and landscapes. Please give an A7IV. It'll come, Aru. I mean, like I said, it's just a matter of waiting. It's definitely going to be coming. There's no doubt about it. I'm so happy with 24 megapixel. So am I. I mean, like I said, I'm happy with 12 now. To be honest, I don't use the A7 III much at all now. I'm using the A7S III, and Kerry often uses the other camera. Dwayne said, love the screen and 24 megapixel on my Leica SL2S, but missed the Q2 and the 47 megapixels. Low light, dynamic DRO, yep. Look, I think the main thing for me is dynamic range and low light ability for me, particularly. Like I said, because I shoot events, that is a massive plus for me with it as well. Can you get by with f4 aperture lenses with the A7S III for low light video? You can, but Ken, I recommend that you get something faster. Look, the whole point is to keep your ISO as low as possible, and that's the thing with this, that I'm always trying to shoot with the lowest ISO that I can. So I think, yes, I have the 16, I've got the 16 to 35 f4 lens and the 70 to 200 f4 lens, but if we're dealing really with low light, I would immediately say go to my other lenses like the 24 f1.4 GM lens. I'd be using that, or the 50 1.8. That went out of focus then, didn't it? So that's what I'd be doing with that. So look, you can, yes, but I honestly would think if it's keep your ISO as low as possible. It just will make the image nicer, and you don't have to use noise reduction in post and everything later on. That's 47. 47, is it? Okay, 37 degrees. You're saying in here as well. And that's about it. We're up to the end of the thing. Like I said, it was only going to be a very, very quick one today. Like I said, I'm going out to High Point and getting a new keyboard case. So if there's any other questions, just fire away because I'll stay for a couple more minutes. I have got some interesting reviews that'll be coming up in the coming days, so stay tuned for those as well. Because I want to talk about some wireless options and things like that. And I've also got another really nice small rig thing that I've got to show you as well. Oh, and a new light too. I've got a new LED light that's really quite powerful that I'll be showing you as well. That runs from the V batteries and stuff like that may be able to be used out on location as well. So stay tuned for those too, because I'll give you... I got the battery brick yesterday, so... I'll let you know, well, you'll see when it comes online anyway, because I'll have that coming up fairly soon. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, guys, because I do really appreciate the support. Remember, I'm unsponsored. And I'd love you to give me a thumbs up too, because that does make a massive difference too with the show as well. And getting the show out there, basically. I shoot wildlife, but wouldn't want over 50 megapixel. I'm suspicious about noise above that. They are doing some incredible things, but yes, the A7R4 is definitely noisier than the A7R3. It's about a stop difference. But that's not to say that they can't improve that with technology, because I think the A1 is pretty good. I haven't seen how that compared to the A7 III or the A7R3. I'm going to sneeze. I've got a bit of hay fever. It's just the funny thing is it's starting to come up now. Let me just mute this microphone. Yeah, I'm getting hay fever earlier this year for some reason. Yeah, so noise definitely does. That's why I think the A7S3 is so beautiful, because as long as you expose correctly, remember, don't underexpose, always go a little bit over, you can just use ridiculously high ISO numbers. Now, you can even do that with the other cameras as well, like the A7R4. If you expose correctly, you can really get away with a lot. But yes, the A7R4 is definitely about a stop. I tried both. I did use both when I was in the States. And the A7R4 was about a stop worse than the A7R3. And it's definitely worse than the A7 III. So, you know, I mean, the A7 III is terrific. They can do things sometimes, like, remember, unless you're dealing with really, really high ISO, the A7 III in most regards is better than the A7S2. So it just shows what they can do with technology. So just because they are going up doesn't mean that you won't get amazing noise reduction. But, you know, I would think if it's 100 on megapixel, it's probably not going to be good as what the A7R4 is. But who knows? I mean, you know, you can never know what they're going to do with technology. Brett said models do not like to see every skin pore. Exactly, they don't, Brett. That's exactly right. If you show models and they're seeing every single skin pore like that, they're going to be really upset. And it's actually, in fact, I watched this guy, I think Peter Cauldron, I think his name is a famous Australian photographer. And he actually slightly puts his focus a little bit out, just a touch. And he said, and it was interesting because he had the model on camera, and he said to me, "You don't want to see your pores in your skin, do you?" And she said, "No." And that's why he just gets it a fraction. He looked a fraction out, and he manual focuses, and you know, you get that nice sort of result. That's why sometimes the diffusion filters are nice too, because they get rid of that pores that you know you see if it's too high resolution. David, I heard you talk about the Phantom LUTs. I love them, but have you tried Alistair Chapman LUTs? They are great. No, I haven't. I like the Leeming LUTs as well, though, Matt. The two that I use are Leeming LUTs and Phantom LUTs. Phantom LUTs I've found the easiest to use because you just expose normally. The Leeming LUTs you have to overexpose. I usually overexpose by about 1.7 stops. So that's what you have to do with Leeming LUTs. And I think Leeming LUTs definitely give you more of a dynamic range. So they are better if you want to have the full dynamic range. The Phantom LUTs you expose normally, and then there's a lot less sort of post-processing. If you look at the video that I did with the filters just recently, and I showed Sydney in that footage, that was all shot with the Phantom LUTs, so it was exposed as it is. I didn't have to overexpose or underexpose, so it's a great way of doing it. You just have your exposure at 0. And it's terrific. You can go a little bit over and then bring it back, but, you know, they're great. And, like, I often use now just S-Cinetone. I mean, I love S-Cinetone. If I'm doing weddings now, I'm going to be using S-Cinetone because S-Cinetone is just so good. Just ran outside and took a picture of the sun setting using my 135 GM. Gorgeous results. Thank you, my lovely A7S III. I know, how good is that? The A7S with the 135 is beautiful. That is an incredible combination. I agree. Jean said, I would love to get the ZV-E10 for travel, but money currently held up in crypto. Oh, hopefully you'll make some good money in it then, Jean. Maybe I'll sell the Canon M6, M2 once the apocalypse is over. Yeah, I know. Poor Sydney now here is in lockdown. They're going to be in lockdown for a few weeks, I think. We're good at the moment. We've got no cases at all, so hopefully it stays that way. Raymond said, don't forget, thumbs up. Yeah, thank you, Raymond, for saying that. Really would appreciate that, guys. I just got the A9 II up from the A7 III. All I can say is, wow. I know, that would be a massive step. The A9 is still brilliant. I love my A9. And the A9 II is a step up from that. It's just brilliant. Really, if you think about it now, a great camera to get if you want to save money is the A9. Because what I paid $7,000 for that camera, and I think, I don't know, what can you get it for? Let me just have a look. I'll do it here. It's just as easy. Let me just put Sony A9. I'll have to do Australian prices because we'll just see though. All right, so in Australia, I mean, you're going to laugh because it's American. We're about 20,000 Australian dollars per $1 US. Here in Australia, I can buy the A9 for $4,500. I paid $7,000. So, if you're in the marketplace for a really good camera, and look, the A9 and the A9 II is not that drastic difference. Yes, there's differences, but it's not drastic differences. So, I mean, if you were buying brand new and you had the money, yes, I would go for the A9 too. But if you want to save some money, you really can get some good deals on A9s, particularly because people have upgraded from the A9 to the A1, and there might be some in the used marketplace that you can get for really cheap. And most people that have the A9 are using the electronic shutter, so there's very, very little wear and tear. So that's something that you have to consider. I use the electronic shutter all the time with my A9, unless I'm doing flash. So, just think about it. But it's a great option if you want to get a good camera now, the A9. Dwayne said, anyone shooting the Sigma 35 1.4 DG? If so, how do you like it? I used to shoot with that lens and I loved it, Dwayne. But I haven't shot with that for a while. Rick said, just got the Godox AD100 Pro, love it. Yeah, I've got that too, Rick, and I love it too. It's a great little light. It really is. So small and quite powerful. But Kerry loves holding it because, it's so small compared to using my other lights that we've got. Does anyone have an A9 too? So they're just chatting in the group there. Thinking about buying the Series 35 anamorphic lens. Any thoughts? Well, I've never used them. I've got a new Sandmark anamorphic lens that I need to test in the coming days. It's the 1.55 times. I did a review with the Sandmark 1.33 anamorphic lens, and now they've sent me the 1.55, so I'm going to be reviewing that. But they're iPhone lenses, but the quality is really good. I'd love to get my hands on a 35mm one, that I could stick on, a full frame camera, or even the A6 400. So I'd love to try one, Rocco, but I haven't. I'd love them to send me some Lendat gear so I could try it, because I love shooting anamorphic. In fact, I always try and make it anamorphic anyway, my wedding movies, with cutting it top and bottom. I just crop it in post. Rick said, he's talking to someone else. I think leaks are planned to generate news. Think about it. Yeah, maybe, Steve. I mean, they probably often are. But the leaks often tend to be fairly accurate. So Dwayne said, I think everything Sigma is great, but I have not tried that lens. Sigma make great lenses. Look, really, they all do now. If you're looking at it, Samyang make great lenses, Sigma make great lenses, Tamron make great lenses, and Sony are also making great lenses. I don't think there's really much now where you could say it's a bad lens. Even some of the 7 Artesian lenses, I've got the little macro, the 60mm, is just terrific. I mean, like I said, we're so blessed now with Sony. We've got so many options. VJ said, I got a used A7C, upgrading from an A6 400. Really loving it so far. The A7C is terrific. Like I said, Aaron, that's his favourite camera. I just think the update version for that, when it comes out, will be much better. Because I think they'll probably add dual card slots to that card. That's the only thing that would sort of stop me from getting that, is the dual card slots. And the EVF is a little bit low resolution. But if they put one out with a good EVF and also dual card slots, killer. I mean, it's a great camera now. VJ just said, great little camera. They look cool in a small rig cage too. All right, guys. Well, that's it. I'm going to head off for the day because I've got to go. Like I said, I've got to go out shopping. So thank you so much for tuning in today. Sorry I had to miss last week, but when you saw that photo, you'd realise why I did miss. I look like an alien. Please give me a thumbs up, guys, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the channel. I really would appreciate that. And apart from that, everyone, I'll see you all in the next show. Bye for now. Have a great weekend, everyone.